Hello ladies, it's Melissa. I'm here with, I guess I'll make this my 13-week update because I'll be 13 weeks pregnant tomorrow. And this is really more of an update about my cerclage too, which I had done on Monday, so it was 2 days ago. Um, so the morning of the cerclage, my doctor called me. She's so awesome. She called and she was like, "Hey Melissa, I just want to make sure you weren't too nervous. I just wanted to check on you." And I said, "Actually, I'm really nervous. I'm freaking out." And she was like, "Don't freak out. There's nothing to be worried about. I'm going to take very good care of you. The anesthesiologist is great. And, all your questions will be answered before you go in and everything's going to be fine." So I was like, okay. And so we headed in and I was still really nervous when I got there. It didn't take very long for them to bring us in. They got me in a bed, got my IV placed, which was on my arm right here. Um, I don't have a bruise yet, but I feel like I'm going to because it's really tender there. And then they just were asking me all kinds of questions, and I was being introduced to this nurse and that nurse and this resident and that resident. And the anesthesiologist came in and talked to me because I had to sign consent forms, and he told me that there were three different kinds of sedation I could have, or pain management, or whatever. One was that I could get the epidural, two was that I could be put to sleep, or three was that I could have drugs that wouldn't put me to sleep but would make me not care about anything. My doctor came in and she said that she would recommend the epidural. She said it's the safest for the baby and it will wear off the fastest. I won't be groggy for the rest of the day. And she said that she's had 3 epidurals and she thinks that it's the safest and the easiest. So I told the anesthesiologist that I was scared of two things. One, that I would be paralyzed, and two, that I wouldn't be able to breathe. And he explained to me, he actually drew me a little diagram, that the spinal cord only goes halfway down the back, and where they do the epidural is actually below where the spinal cord ends. After that, it's just nerves that hang down. And if you hit a nerve, it will just, brush to the side. So he said that like about 60 years ago, they had these glass vials that they kept the medicine in for the epidural, and the vials that they were keeping them in actually had small cracks that they didn't know about, and then the solution they used to clean the vials was toxic and got in the cracks and was introduced into women's spines or spinal columns during an epidural, and they did become paralyzed. So that's where this big thing comes from, where people think you can get paralyzed. It just doesn't really happen anymore. And then the not being able to breathe thing, he said a lot of times women will feel like their chest is heavy or like they can't breathe, but if you look at their oxygen reading, they're getting plenty of oxygen. Their pulse ox will say 100%. So after that, I felt pretty comfortable. He seemed really nice. He said that we would go very slow and he would be very careful, and he said that he wanted to make it so that the IV was worse than getting the epidural. So I was like, okay. I think that's all that happened in prep. And then, so my husband was brought to the waiting room and they wheeled me into OR 4, which made me happy because 4 is my lucky number. So we got in there, they had me get on another bed, and then they had me roll onto my side for the epidural. So I was laying on my right side, and my doctor actually came around and held my hand the whole time and talked to me. And so what they did for the epidural, he stuck me with a needle and put some numbing stuff in, which it stung a little bit, but it really didn't bother me. I mean, getting shots and getting blood drawn and stuff doesn't really bother me, and it was just like that. It was just like getting a shot and whatever. And then after that, I've watched a video since then. I did not watch a video before, so I'm assuming what happens after that, he takes that out, and then they put the big needle in that actually goes into the epidural space. And when he was doing that, it was just like, it was pressure. It was weird sensation. Like I could feel stuff inside my back, but no pain. I had no pain. I had no stinging, nothing. Just weird, like I could tell something was happening. It was just really bizarre. I kept saying to my doctor, this is so weird. And she's like, it is weird. Um, so then he put the catheter through the needle, and he said you might feel something like an electric shock. If I hit a nerve, it might go down your leg, and not painful, but you might feel something. And I felt like a little something go into my left like butt cheek for a split second, but it wasn't pain either. It was just, oh, hang on. Hey, sorry about that. That was my hubby calling to see what I want for dinner. So I told him I want black bean chili because I'm constipated from the medication. So hopefully the black beans will help along with these, which my doctor told me to take. Anyway, TMI. I think I was talking about, he said I might feel something if he hit a nerve going down into my butt or my legs. And I did feel a little something, but it was just like a weird, I don't even know how to explain it. Probably like an electric something, but it was not painful. So then he took the needle out and then taped the catheter to my back and had me just lay back onto my back. Then he started giving me some of the medication. I didn't feel any different. He gave me a little more. I didn't feel any different. He's like, are your legs, can you lift your knees up off the bed? And I lifted my knees up all the way. I said, yeah, I feel, feels fine. He's like, okay, I'll give you some more. I'll give you some more. I started feeling a little woozy, which I didn't realize that an epidural would make you like a little woozy, but it kind of did. And eventually my legs started to get heavy. And then I get numb like right up to here. Right up to the top of your stomach. And I went to clear my throat, and if you try to clear your throat right now, you'll feel this, but right at the top of your stomach you use those muscles. So you tighten those muscles right there. Well, I was laying there and I had to clear my throat, and I tried to clear my throat and I couldn't. I had like no muscles there that to use. So I was like like I couldn't, it was funny, I couldn't clear my throat. So they hung up a sheet like they do when they do a C-section. So I just had the sheet in front of me, and my anesthesiologist was standing right next to me, and he kept, like, he had a cold alcohol wipe, and he put it on my face. He said, you feel how cold that is? I said, yes. And then he put it, like, on my thigh. Do you feel that? I said, yes, but it's not cold. Then on my knee, then on my ankle, and he was asking me, like, how, and then they were telling me that I would be able to feel touch, like I might feel her, she said I might feel her tugging around in there or doing stuff, but I would not feel pain. And I would not feel cold. So I started freaking out because I did not know that I was going to be able to feel anything at all. I didn't want to be aware of any tugging and pulling. So they put my legs up in the stirrups, and she put a speculum in, and I felt it, like it pinched. And I said, I can feel that pinched. And she was like, okay. She took it out and she said she shouldn't feel that. So he's like, all right, I'll give her some more. And he said with an epidural, you don't know how much any particular person is going to need. That's why they just keep trying and saying, okay, now do you feel this? Do you feel this? And I told him, okay, my chest is starting to feel a little heavy. And they all knew that I was totally panicking and nervous. And so he said, all right, I'm going to give you a little something to relax you. Hang on a minute. So then they started like draping what felt like they were draping paper on the other side. And I was so embarrassed because the sheet was up, but the rest of me, like my legs were straight up in the air, completely, obviously, bare butt. Like, and I knew there were like 5 or 6 people over there. It was just not a comfortable position to be in. I was just like, please cover me up, please. Well, I didn't say that, but I was thinking it. So then I felt them like draping stuff, and they put the booties on my legs that they fill up with air, and then they deflate to keep the blood circulation going while your legs are up like that. And then he came back, my anesthesiologist came back, and he's like, all right, I'm going to give you a little bit of medication right now. He said, it's not going to put you to sleep, but it'll just, help take the edge off a little bit. And I got real like woozy and blurry, and I looked up at him and I said, wow. And he was like, yep, that's the medication. And that's the last thing I remember until I was in recovery. So thank God that he gave me that medicine. I found out later it was propofol, and it's a hypnotic. I looked it up online. The nickname is sometimes the milk of amnesia. So I told my doctor the next day, I was explaining to her how I felt. I said, I got like real woozy for a minute, and I looked at him and said, wow, and that's the last thing I remember. And she said, he gave you the tiniest dose, and she said, I really didn't know if it was going to make you forget, but apparently it did. So I got up and I felt like I was waking up in recovery, but I wasn't waking up. I had been awake the whole time. I guess I was just coming out of the propofol high or something. And my doctor was there, and she's like, everything went great. The surgery went perfectly, and she said, I'm going to go talk to John because you're not going to remember any of this stuff I'm telling you. I was like, okay, I feel great, So she went and told John that I was a very happy drunk in the OR, and that I asked her the same questions over and over, but that everything went really well. She put the cerclage where there's 2 centimeters of cervix below it, and she said she got it as high as she possibly could because my bladder was right there. You can only go so high without risking damaging the bladder. But she said she's really happy with where it is, and she did it nice and tight, and she said everything looks absolutely great, and she's very optimistic. So I was happy about that. So I'm sitting in recovery, and oh, okay, really quickly. Beforehand, the one thing I forgot to tell you, they had this, she's a 3rd-year resident, which means, she's been around for a while, so she should know better, but she was trying to find the heartbeat because they wanted to check the heartbeat before we go in. Well, she was using a Doppler that is not a fetal Doppler. It's just a regular Doppler, which the anesthesiologist said he thinks it's what they use to find the pulse in like someone's foot, like if they're in surgery, because it finds stuff closer to the surface. It doesn't go as deep. So she's trying to find it. We're not hearing anything. And I started freaking out. Like inside, I'm panicking. I'm like, don't even tell me that like we're all the way here and I've got the IV in and everything, and now they're not going to find a heartbeat. So she's like, well, this isn't a fetal Doppler, so let me go get the fetal Doppler. Duh. So she goes and gets the fetal Doppler. She still can't find the heartbeat. I think she was too high. She was about halfway up to my belly button looking for it. My doctor came over to the other side of the bed, and she's like, let me see it. She took it. 5 seconds. She had the heartbeat. She's like, there it is. So I was happy. And then when I came out of surgery, right when I was coming to, they were checking for the heartbeat again. And it was that same stupid girl with the same Doppler that doesn't work. And she's like, well, we can't, this one's not working. And the anesthesiologist said, hey, we have an ultrasound machine. Oh, yeah. We have an ultrasound machine right here. Why don't we try that? And I was like, yeah, do an ultrasound, because I want another picture. And they brought the ultrasound machine over, found the heartbeat right away. And then I told her, can you print me a picture? But you got to get a good picture, like where it actually looks like a baby, because she paused it where it just looked like a blob. And she's like, oh, yeah, I'll get you a good picture. So this is what they printed me. There's the little head, little profile right there, little belly. So I was happy about that. And then I started to feel just the slightest bit of cramping in my abdomen. So I told them, I said, I'm starting to feel just a little bit of something. The feeling was coming back in my legs too. And so the anesthesiologist said, okay, give her the Tylenol now. So they gave me a couple of Tylenol with codeine. And then he actually prescribed, well, he ordered something for my IV, which I think they said was fentanyl. I think that's what he was saying it was. And he said, if her pain gets worse, just let her have this. So then he left, and a few minutes later, I got like this massive cramping in my back from like the top of my back to my lower back, right down the sides of my spine, muscles spasming like over and over. I couldn't even talk. I was trying to tell them, I'm like, my back is spasming. I can't even talk. Like it was just taking the breath out of me. And she was like, well, that's not a common complaint, so let me just call the anesthesiologist. So I'm thinking, great, what the hell's wrong with me, So she called him, and he said it was either from the epidural or the position that I was in. My back was cramping. So she gave me the IV medication, which I think was fentanyl. Didn't touch it. Finally, I was able to get up into a chair. They brought me over to the other recovery where they brought John in. I couldn't even tell him how it went because I was trying to talk and my voice kept cracking because I couldn't like breathe. Every time I tried to breathe, it was just sucking the air out of me. And they wouldn't let me leave until I peed, so I finally went pee, and then they let us leave. John went to pull the car around, and she wheeled me out in the wheelchair, and I feel bad because they were trying to be so nice to me, but I was in so much pain, my back spasming, that I wasn't even talking to them. I was just sitting in the wheelchair on the way out, just like miserable. Then the whole way home, I reclined the chair in the car, and I kept rolling from one side to the other and pulling my knees up to stretch my back because that seemed to help. We stopped at CVS to get my prescription, and when I was in CVS, I was sitting in the chair by the pharmacy, and I leaned all the way forward to stretch my back, and that really helped. So I got home, I took a couple of Tylenol with codeine. Well, I took one when I got home and one before bed. I took one more painkiller yesterday morning just for a little bit of abdominal cramping, and that's it. I haven't taken any other painkillers. I feel fine pain-wise. I've had some brown spotting. I had some, this is going to be TMI, but like a glob of clear mucus with some brown blood in it, which, you know, all the brown blood is just old blood. Obviously, there's going to be blood from what she was doing in there. And then I had another like glob of mucus this morning, so I called the doctor's office. I'm like, I know it's probably normal, but I just have to know, you know, that it's okay. And she was like, oh yeah, when you do a cerclage, you put something so tight on the cervix like that, it actually makes the cervix produce more mucus. And she said, you know, as your pregnancy progresses, you'll probably have more than you would in a normal pregnancy. So, yeah, I mean, overall, it was a really pleasant experience. The people at the hospital were so awesome. I absolutely love the anesthesiologist, and I absolutely love my doctor. She actually, the hospital called me the next day, yesterday morning, to make sure I was okay. I was still asleep. John answered. The phone woke me up, but I heard John saying, yeah, she's feeling fine, you know, she's just asleep. And they were like, okay, if you have any questions, call us. Well, a couple hours later, my doctor called me anyway, and she was like, hi, Melissa, how are you feeling today? How's everything going? And I told her, great, you know, I'd only taken one painkiller, and my back felt much, much better, and I wasn't really having any cramping, just a little bit of spotting, and I said, I know I was kind of out of it yesterday, so can you just let me know, like, are you happy with how the procedure went? And she told me what she had told John. Yes, she thinks everything went great. She got it nice and high and really tight, and she said everything was perfect. So, and then she said, yeah, you were pretty funny yesterday. And that's when we started talking about the medication that he gave me, and she said, yeah, that was something called propofol, and he only gave you a tiny dose, but obviously, I'm a lightweight when it comes to hypnotic IV drugs. But you know what? I am so, so happy that he gave me that little dose of medication, because I don't remember a thing. Although I was awake and talking to them, I don't have any recollection of them digging around in my nether regions and sewing anything up. So I am so thankful for that. But now we just wait and see. I have another appointment with her on Tuesday, and she'll do an ultrasound then. My mom's going to come with us. Maybe I'll try to do a little video then. And we're just really excited. So I feel like the hard part is over, and now I just wait and hope and pray for the best. And I'm really optimistic. So today I went back to work, and I am so, so tired. I can't even explain to you how tired I am. I was sitting at my desk like this, or I was sitting like this. The door's over here to my office, and I was just like this on my desk so that people couldn't see that my eyes were closed, but I was like on the verge of sleep, you know? And yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I feel pretty great. I have a little bit of a headache, but I think it's because I'm tired, because I just didn't really, we stayed up so late last night, which was stupid because I know I had to wake up early. But yeah, so that is my Cerclage experience. Sorry I can't tell you more about the procedure because I don't remember it, thankfully. Yeah, but if anybody has any questions, just let me know and I'll answer them the best I can. But yep, Beth Israel Hospital in Boston, 2 thumbs up. And the doctors there are just awesome. Except for that stupid resident girl who doesn't know how to find a freaking fetal heartbeat. But anyway, yeah, so that's all. And I will make another video next week after the ultrasound. And until then, if everybody can just keep praying for me, and I'll keep praying for you guys. I'm still watching all your videos. I was able to catch up on a few yesterday because I was just laying on the couch. But anyway, I will talk to you ladies soon. Hubby's going to be home to cook me dinner, so I got to finish up this video. All right, bye.